How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the Ford Shop Yard, and today I'm going to show you how to change the oil and filter on your 10th Gen 97 to 2004 Ford F-150. Whether you have the 5.4 Triton or the 4.6, I have the 4.6 in my F-150, but it's the same principle for both the 5.4 and the 4.6. They both take the same amount, 6 quarts, and a FL820S motorcraft filter. So let's get to it. First thing you want to do, you want to get you need a 16mm socket and a 3/8 ratchet. So here's a 16mm socket with 3/8 ratchet. Alright, next thing you want to do is make sure you have your funnel. And you need your oil. I'm going back to the Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic 5W20 made from natural gas. Now, like I said, most of these Fords take 6 quarts, but for some reason mine takes 7 after the filter. Original motor, I don't know why it takes 7, but it does. But anyway, I usually go between the Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or the Castrol GTX Full Synthetic 5W20 or the Pennzoil Platinum. I switch between them depending on what I feel like using. People say, you shouldn't switch your oil brands. You pick one and stay with it. Well, that's a bunch of made up nonsense, because oil is oil, and as long as you use the correct weight, you're not going to have any problems. And of course, you need your oil filter. I use the original equipment filter. The mobile filters are good too. You just don't want to use a cheap oil filter. They say the cheap oil filters stop filtering right at about 3,000 miles. So I always use OEM motorcraft filter on mine. I change my oil every 5,000 miles, 345,000 miles almost, and it doesn't use a drop of oil between changes. So let's get to it. First thing you want to do is come over here and remove your oil fill cap. Sit it on top of the battery. You're going to take your funnel, make sure it's cleaned out and wiped out. Mine always is. You're going to stick it down in here. Now the reason I do this is to let the air will get in, and it'll help the oil drain better. You're also going to need your oil drain pan. I'm using the label's going, but I bought it at Walmart. The bigger the better. I think this holds up to like 20 quarts, something like that. But then, if you work in the grass all the time, you really can't beat a good creeper. I bought this in at AutoZone. I think I paid like $80 maybe, something like that. Can't remember, it's been a long time ago, but you can't beat a creeper if you're working on the ground. If you don't have a concrete shop or concrete to work on, you can't beat a good creeper. So let's go under, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. As you can see, right here is your oil drain plug. It's a 16mm. So let's get it broken loose. Alright, I just broke mine loose. Now once you get it loose, it's going to start dripping immediately. All these Fords do that. There's nothing you can do about it. So we're going to come over here, and we're just going to, hang on, gotta loosen it some more. Alright, as you can see, it's now starting to drip. The wind's blowing. Let's see if I can get this thing out by hand without having to loosen it anymore. I got it pretty much by hand now, so come on, baby. There you go. And make sure you have your pan lined up correctly. And once you get to the end, remember, and out comes the old dirty oil. Now this oil's only got about 4,000 and about 4,700 miles on it roughly, but it was getting time to change it. So we're going to let that drain for a good 15-20 minutes. Then we're going to change the oil filter. As you can see, it's down to a slow trickle now. But we're not done. I'm going to let it continue draining until it just about, I get nothing but drips. And then we're going to put the plug back in and change the filter. Now when you get ready to remove your oil filter, sometimes that can be a pain to get off. They're stuck on there, you're fighting in 30 minutes and you still can't get it off, it still hasn't moved, you cannot beat one of these oil filter wrenches. AutoZone is where I bought this one for like $10 maybe. And it fits this filter perfectly. So, instead of cussing and swearing and beating your hand up, cutting your hand, go to AutoZone, get a filter cup, a filter wrench that fits your filter and fits it snugly. And with a 3/8 ratchet, you can easily loosen your oil filter and get it off. This will save you a lot of headache when you're changing the oil in your vehicle. As you can see, the filter wrench just fits right on the oil filter, nice and snug. And with your ratchet, you can easily loosen the filter. It's not hard to do. It does take some finesse. But as you can see, if you look close enough, as I turn it, it is coming loose. You cannot beat one of these oil filter wrenches because this filter on this truck always gives me trouble coming off. I never over tighten them, I never under tighten them. Once I get them snug, I give them about another half a turn. Now I'm not going to go any further loosen it because I ain't got the pin under it yet to drain the oil, catch the oil. So we're going to put the plug back in and tighten it up. As you can see now, all we have are slow single drips. So let's put the plug back in, shall we? As you can see, here's your drain plug. Now see, there is no gasket on there. Everybody else swears up and down that the little oil drain plug gaskets prevent leaks. Well, guess what? I never use a drain plug gasket on any of my vehicles, and they never leak a single drop of oil. Ever. So the oil drain plug gasket fad is a scam, and you're just wasting your money. Let's put the drain plug back in. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you get it in by hand and get it nice and snug, so you don't cross thread it. Tighten it until you can't tighten it anymore. It's starting to get tight now. There we go. And there you have it. It's ran all the way up by hand, nice and snug. Now let's finish it off. Alright, now we go back with our 16mm socket and 3/8 ratchet. Slide the pan out of the way, your drain pan out of the way. And you want to get it nice and tight. Come on, baby. There you go. You don't want to strip it, but once it seats, just give it another. Good enough. It's not going to come off, and it's not going to leak. Let's change the oil filter. Now remember, I've already loosened the oil filter, so make sure your pan's lined up down here. Pan's lined up. I'm just going to come in here and just pull the filter right off. It's going to start draining. As you can see, it's draining now. I'm going to show you a little secret, what drives me crazy when I change the oil filter on this truck. It's such a pain to get out of the hole. You have to really work it out and take your time. It's always, right there, it's all the way off now. So, there it is. See it? All the way off now. Yeah, you're going to get some oil spillage down the front of the chassis, but guess what? It doesn't take long. Come on, baby. Try not to make a mess all over the yard. But if you work it out just right and take your time, there it is, right there. Into the pan. Now I gotta go get my new oil filter, get it lubed up. So here we have our new oil filter. Nice shiny Motorcraft oil filter. And what you want to do, check your old oil filter and make sure the O-ring here is still attached and it's not stuck to the engine block. If you don't check that and the old gasket off the old filter is stuck to the engine block, you'll do what's called double gasketing. And you'll have a major leak and could even blow your motor. So like I said, you want to double check your old oil filter. Make sure the gasket is still attached. And it is. Now you just want to take some of your oil from your pan, just a little bit of it, and lubricate your O-ring, and that will prevent the filter from sticking and being a pain in the butt to get off next time. Lube it up really great, really good, and then you can fish the new filter back in there and snug it down. Alright, now that I've fished the new filter back in, I got it on there. Now we got to tighten it up. So get your filter on there, get it lined up, screw it all the way down till it seats, and when you feel it seat, give it about another 1/2 to a 3/4 turn, and that's good enough. You don't want to over tighten it. You may pinch the gasket. I've seen that happen. And then you just want to go and wipe down all the oil that's dripped down. Make sure the filter's nice and clean. So now, like I said, you just want to come in here with your rag, towel, shop towels. Just wipe the filter down all the way around as best you can to make sure you're not going to have any leaks. The filter's nice and clean. Just wipe around it as best you can and get it as clean as you can. And it's nice and snug. It's not going to leak. So now it's time to put the clean, fresh oil in. Let's get to it. Alright, now our funnel's ready. We got our oil ready. We're going to start off and we're going to put 6 quarts in first. Then start it up, let it run for about 10 seconds. Make sure it's not leaking. Check for leaks. You want to cut it off, let it sit for 4 or 5 minutes, then check the oil. So now we're going to pour 5 quarts in. You want to take your time, you don't want to spill it. There we go. Take your time, you don't want to spill it. We'll put 5 quarts in first. Make sure it all goes in, every last drop. Alright, there's 5. Get just as much as you can out of the bottle. And in goes quart number 6. Pour it slow. Let that sit there for a minute. And get just as much as you can out. That's the way I like to do it. Like I said, my oil really didn't need change. I still had about another 400 miles or so. But the weather's warming up. I took a day off of work. And even when I'm not working, I don't like sitting around the house doing nothing. So I said, you know what? It's getting about time to change my oil. I might as well go ahead and do it now. Oil is cheap. Motors are expensive. So now we got 6 quarts in. We'll put the cap back on, start it up, let it run for about 10 seconds and check for leaks. So on goes the cap. Make sure it's on there tight. Now let's start it up. As you can see, I've got 342,901 miles on it. So let's start it up, check for leaks. Alrighty. Down here. Filter's not leaking, drain plug's not leaking. We're good to go. It's got a little bit of a rattle in the top end at up at the variable valve timing, but that'll go away. It does have 342,000 miles on it after all. So we're going to let it sit for about 5-10 minutes. Then we'll check the oil. I got about 3,000 miles before my next rotation. Old BF Goodrich's. I love these tires. They're great. Haven't had a single problem with them. Cost me $1,500. I keep the tire pressure set at 70. High pressure valve stems. I've got, let's see, I had them put on at 325,000 miles and it's got 345 almost. So it's almost been 20,000 miles. So time for the second rotation on old Blue. So it's been just a couple of minutes and I checked it and yeah, it's still a quart low. So we're going to add the 7th quart. Now like I said, most of these take 6, but this one for some reason takes 7. So let's add the 7th quart, shall we? Here we go, adding the 7th quart. This will put it right at the top dot, right on the floor line, where it's supposed to be. Now I change oil every day at work. I love my job. And I do this every day. Never get tired of it. It's always a joy to do. And the two brands I see the most are Toyotas and Hondas. And I can't stand Toyotas and Hondas, but that's a different story. I really can't get into why, but like I said, I'm going to make a video on that later. But I can't stand Toyotas and Hondas, even though that's the 2 car brands we see the most each and every single day. We go through cases of Honda filters, 6607s. Those are for the Honda and the Nissans. The 6607s, the Fram filters we use at Walmart. But we go through cases and cases, sometimes 2 and 3 cases a day. But because I stock, I'm the one that 90% of the time stocks all the filters. But that's it for this quart. Let's check it. There we are, folks. 7 quarts did it. As you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but it is right on the top max dot where it's supposed to be. 7 quarts did it. So that concludes the oil change on Blue, the spring oil change on Blue. Like I said, I got about another 3,000 miles to the next rotation. And I'll tell you this, I've said this in a bunch of my other videos. Like I said, I work at Walmart. And people, you got to understand how important maintenance is on your vehicles. I cannot tell you how many vehicles I see come in every single day for oil changes. And they're 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. I seen one car came in one day, and I think it was like 15,000 miles over on their oil change. Maintenance is the number one, the very most important thing for any vehicle. Change your oil and filter every 5,000 miles with full synthetic oil. As you can see on blue, I changed mine about 300 or 400 miles early. It's better to change it earlier than later. Oil is cheap, motors are expensive. Just maintain your vehicles, people, and use the correct oil. I see people come in, they'll buy their own oil and filter for us to change, and their car will take 0.20 and they'll buy 5.20, or it'll take 5.30 and they'll buy 5.20. Most people don't care about their vehicles, and they don't care how they're maintained, if they're maintained at all. I care about my vehicles, and I care about the customers' vehicles too, because I don't want them having car troubles. I want them to be able to get where they need to be going, have their car maintained the right way, so their car can last as long as it possibly can. Just change your oil and filter every 5,000 miles with an original equipment or a mobile oil filter. Change it every 5,000 miles with full synthetic oil and use the correct oil. If your car calls for 0.20, use 0.20. If it calls for, I've said this 100 times, whatever the weight of your vehicle, just look under the hood. It's not that difficult of a thing to do. Check this out. All you have to do is look on your engine cap, your oil cap. Open the hood, find where your oil cap is, and it's going to say it. Look, 5W20. And what does my oil say? 5W20. Modern cars today are so complex and so sensitive. If you use the wrong oil, the wrong viscosity, you're going to wear the motor out faster than it would if you're using the correct oil. So, with all the modern, variable valve timing and overhead cams, if you have oil that's the wrong viscosity and it doesn't make it to the top end where the variable valve timing and cams are, it's going to wear on bare metal until the oil makes it up there. And then when your car starts making noise, your engine starts making noise, and you start having major issues with your vehicle, you're going to wish you changed your oil every 5,000 miles the way I do. It's a simple thing to do, people. I mean, I care about my vehicles. I want them to last forever. That's why I change my oil every 5,000 miles. And if you care about your vehicle, you'll do the same. So, that concludes this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share it, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another one of my videos. Appreciate y'all watching. Have a good one. I'm also going to be upgrading Blue's taillights in the future too. So y'all stay tuned for that video as well.